Welcome back to my channel, Learning English Level 3. I'm so glad you're here today. In this video, we're going to talk about how you can improve your brain's memory power, all while practicing and improving your English fluency. Imagine being able to remember things better in your daily life and at the same time, speak English more confidently and naturally. Well, this video will help you do just that. Not only will you learn memory-boosting tips, but we will also have some fun English stories to practice listening and speaking. Before we start, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Your support means a lot to me and helps this channel grow. Now, let's dive into the lessons and stories. Lesson 1. Start with visualization. Memory begins with how well you can visualize things. When you try to remember something, it's not just about repeating it over and over. Instead, it's about creating a clear picture of that thing in your mind. This picture can be a memory, a word, or an image. When you close your eyes and visualize, your brain forms a connection that makes it easier to recall later. In fact, research shows that the more you visualize something, the stronger your memory becomes. Now, this isn't just useful for remembering objects, places, or events. It's a fantastic tool when learning English too. The key is to picture English words in your mind as clearly as possible. When you do this, your brain starts to associate the word with the image you've created. This makes the word stick in your memory much faster and more effectively. For example, when you learn a new word in English, imagine what it looks like, what color it is, where it might be found, or what it might feel like. This powerful technique not only helps with memory, but it also makes learning a fun and engaging experience. By actively creating mental images, you're training your brain to recall English words more naturally and confidently. Example Story 1. Let me tell you a story about Sarah. She had always struggled with remembering new English words, especially when they didn't seem related to anything she already knew. One day, Sarah came across the word apple during her English lesson. Instead of simply saying the word out loud or reading it in her notebook, Sarah decided to try something different. She closed her eyes and imagined a big, bright red apple. She pictured it vividly in her mind. She could see the shiny skin, the smooth texture, and the little droplets of water on it from being freshly washed. She imagined holding it in her hand, feeling its weight and coolness. Then, Sarah imagined taking a big bite and tasting the sweet and tangy flavor. The more details she added to the image, the more real it felt to her. The next day, when she was asked to recall the word apple, Sarah was amazed at how quickly she remembered it. All she had to do was think of that red apple in her mind, and the word came right to her. Visualization had made remembering the word so much easier and faster. Example Story 2. Mike was also working on his English vocabulary. One of the words he wanted to learn was sunshine. At first, he tried to repeat it over and over in his head, but it just didn't stick. Mike realized that memorizing words without meaning or images wasn't working for him. So, he decided to try visualization. Mike thought of a beautiful sunny day at the beach. He imagined himself walking along the shore, feeling the warmth of the sun on his skin. He saw the bright yellow sun shining high in the sky, casting golden light over the calm waves. He could even hear the gentle sound of the waves and the seagulls in the distance. Every time he thought about the word sunshine, Mike connected it to that image of a perfect beach day. The next time Mike had to use the word sunshine in a sentence, he didn't hesitate. It was as if the word and the image were linked together in his mind. The more Mike visualized that sunny beach scene, the more natural it felt to use the word in conversation. Visualization had not only helped him remember the word sunshine, but it also made him more confident when speaking English. Example story 3. Emily had always loved hiking and exploring the outdoors, but when she started learning English, she had trouble remembering words related to nature. One word that kept slipping her mind was mountain. Every time she tried to remember it, she would forget the exact word or say something else. Emily knew she needed to find a way to make the word stick. One evening, she thought about her last hiking trip to the mountains. She imagined the stunning snow-capped peaks stretching high into the sky. She could feel the cold air against her skin and hear the crunching sound of snow beneath her boots. Emily pictured herself standing at the top of a mountain, looking out over the breathtaking view. The more vivid and detailed her mental picture became, the easier it was to remember the word mountain. From that day on, whenever Emily needed to use the word mountain in a conversation, she didn't have to think twice. The word came to her naturally, just like the memories of her trip. Visualization had helped Emily connect the word to a personal experience, which made it stick in her memory for good. Lesson 2. Practice repetition. Repetition is one of the most powerful tools for improving your memory. Think about how you learned your native language. You didn't just hear a word once and immediately know it, right? You heard it over and over again in different situations until it stuck in your mind. The same approach works when you are learning English. When you repeat something, whether it's a word, a sentence, or a story, your brain starts to make stronger connections to that information. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to remember. This technique is especially helpful when you are trying to remember new vocabulary or phrases in English. You can repeat them out loud, write them down, or listen to stories multiple times. By doing this, you'll find that your memory becomes sharper, and your ability to speak English becomes more fluid. You might be thinking, how does repetition actually work? Well, repetition helps to reinforce neural pathways in your brain. Every time you repeat something, you strengthen these pathways, making it easier to recall that information later. This is why the more you repeat English words and sentences, the more natural they feel to you over time. To truly improve your fluency in English, make repetition a daily habit. This will not only help you remember words but also improve your speaking and listening skills. Let's look at some stories that show how repetition worked for others. Example story 1. Remember James. He was trying to learn English just like you, and one day he came across the word dog. It seemed simple, but every time he tried to remember it, he would forget. James was feeling frustrated because he kept mixing up the word dog with other animals. He knew he needed to make a change. So James decided to repeat the word dog every morning and evening. He said the word out loud slowly and carefully. Dog. In the morning, he said it 20 times before breakfast. In the evening, he repeated it 20 more times before going to bed. At first it felt a little strange, but he stuck with it. After a week of repeating the word dog, James noticed something amazing. He didn't have to think about it anymore. Whenever he saw a dog or heard the word dog, he could say it instantly, without hesitation. The repetition made the word feel natural to him. It became part of his daily vocabulary, and he started using it in conversations without even thinking. Example story 2. Tom was learning how to say, "I'm happy" in English. At first, when he tried to say it, the words felt awkward and difficult to remember. He would say, I'm happy, and forget what he wanted to say next. Tom realized that he needed more practice to feel comfortable with the phrase. So Tom decided to say, "I'm happy" every morning when he woke up. At first, he only said it once or twice, but he quickly realized that repeating it helped. So he said it over and over again and again for the next week. He said, "I'm happy," with confidence. In the shower, while brushing his teeth, even while walking to work, Tom kept saying it. Each time it got easier. After a week of practicing the phrase, "I'm happy," Tom could say it easily without thinking. And soon he was using it in conversations with his friends. "I'm happy to meet you. I'm happy to help." Tom's constant repetition made him feel confident saying, "I'm happy" in English, and it soon became second nature to him. Example story 3. Sophie was learning English, and she was having trouble remembering how to say "thank you" in English. She would say it once, but then forget the next time she needed it. Sophie was determined to improve, so she decided to make a habit out of practicing the phrase. Sophie began saying "thank you" to everyone she saw. At first, she said it only in class when the teacher gave her a compliment. But soon, Sophie started practicing it at the store when the cashier gave her change, and even when she received help from a friend. Every time she said it, Sophie felt more confident. After just a few days, saying "thank you" became automatic for Sophie. It no longer felt like something she had to remember. It became part of her daily speech. Whether at the store, in a conversation, or just walking down the street, Sophie now said "thank you" without even thinking about it. Lesson 3. Connect new information with what you know. One of the most effective ways to improve your memory is by connecting new information to something you already know. This is true for anything you're trying to learn, especially when it comes to learning a new language like English. When you associate new words with words or concepts you're already familiar with, your brain finds it easier to remember the meaning of the new word. This technique works because your brain builds on existing knowledge. Think of it like adding a new piece to a puzzle that already has many pieces in place. Instead of starting from scratch, you're just adding one more piece to the bigger picture. This can make learning English faster and more efficient because you're constantly making connections that help strengthen your memory. For example, when you learn a new word in English, try connecting it with a similar word or concept in your language. Your brain will create a bridge between the two languages, which helps you remember the word in English much more easily. Let's take a look at how this works in action through some stories. Example story 1. Lily had been studying English for a few months when she came across the word cat. At first, it felt like just another word she had to memorize. But then she realized that she already knew the word cat in her native language. It wasn't a difficult word for her to remember because she was familiar with the idea of a cat, from the way it looks to the sound it makes to its behavior. So Lily made a connection. Whenever she thought of the word cat in English, she also thought of the word for cat in her own language. This made it easier for her to understand the meaning and remember the word. She even started picturing a cat when she heard the word in English, which helped her recall it faster. Over time, Lily found that whenever she learned a new word that had a similar word in her language, it was much easier for her to remember it. She realized that connecting new words with what she already knew was one of the best ways to make learning English feel more natural and less overwhelming. Example story 2. Mark was excited to learn English, but he struggled to remember words that didn't seem to have a connection to anything he already knew. One of the first words he learned was happy. At first, Mark couldn't recall it easily. But then, he thought about how the word happy was similar to a word he already knew in his own language. Mark made the connection between the two words. Every time he said happy in English, he would think of the word in his language that meant the same thing. By linking these two words together, Mark made the meaning of happy clearer and easier to recall. The next time he wanted to express joy or a positive feeling, the word happy came to his mind quickly and easily. Mark soon realized that this method worked with many other words as well. For example, when he learned the word sad, he thought of the equivalent word in his language. This mental connection helped him remember words not just in isolation but as part of a broader understanding of emotions, making his learning process smoother. Example story 3. Anna had always wanted to improve her English, but she found it hard to remember simple phrases like goodbye. She could say the word, but when she needed to use it in conversation, it didn't always come to mind. Then Anna had an idea. She already knew how to say goodbye in her native language, so she decided to connect the two words. Whenever Anna heard the word goodbye in English, she would think of how she said it in her own language. She realized that by thinking of both words at the same time, she could create a bridge between her two languages. Each time she said or heard goodbye, she remembered the equivalent word in her own language. This made it much easier to recall the English word in everyday conversations. Anna's connection between the two words helped her feel more confident using goodbye in English. She also began to notice that this method worked with other words too, like hello, please, and thank you. The more connections Anna made, the easier it became to remember the words in English. Lesson 4. Stay active and rested. Did you know that your brain works better when you're both active and rested? It might sound simple, but this is one of the most important things you can do to improve your memory. Just like your body needs exercise to stay healthy, your brain needs both activity and rest to function at its best. When you exercise, you're not just strengthening your muscles, you're also strengthening your brain. Physical activity increases blood flow to your brain, which helps improve memory, focus, and overall cognitive function. On the other hand, rest is just as important. Sleep allows your brain to process and store new information. A well-rested brain can better retain what you've learned and helps you remember things more easily. When learning English, it's especially important to take care of your brain's health. Studying for long periods without taking breaks can tire out your brain, making it harder to remember new words or concepts. But when you combine rest with regular movement, you'll find that your brain works more efficiently, and your memory improves. Let's take a look at how taking care of your physical and mental health helped some people improve their memory and English skills. Example Story 1. Jack was an enthusiastic English learner. He spent hours every day reading new vocabulary, writing sentences, and listening to English audio. However, Jack had one bad habit. He stayed up late many nights, trying to study more and more. He thought that staying up late would help him learn faster. But soon he realized he wasn't remembering things as easily. He felt tired during the day, and even though he was putting in a lot of effort, his progress seemed slow. One day, Jack decided to change his routine. He decided to go to bed earlier and get more rest. He made a goal to sleep at least 7 hours each night. The next morning, after a good night's sleep, Jack felt more energized and focused. When he studied English the next day, he noticed that he could remember more of the words he had learned the day before. His brain felt sharper, and he found it easier to recall information. Jack quickly learned that sleep is essential for memory, and that being well rested helped him remember English words much faster. Example Story 2. Sophia was a busy student who loved learning English, but she struggled with remembering all the new vocabulary she came across. She noticed that after long study sessions, she felt mentally exhausted, and she couldn't recall new words as clearly. She realized that sitting at her desk for hours without moving wasn't helping her memory. So she decided to try something new. Sophia started going for short walks during her study breaks. Every 30 minutes, she would take a 5 to 10-minute walk around the block. While walking, she repeated the new words she had learned. At first, she was unsure if this would help, but after a few days, she noticed a difference. Her memory improved. Not only did the short walks give her a mental break, but the movement helped clear her mind, and she was able to remember new words better when she returned to her desk. Sophia realized that exercise doesn't have to mean long workouts or hours at the gym. Even a short walk could help her brain recharge and improve her memory. By combining study time with physical activity, she became more productive and found learning English easier. Example Story 3. Paul was dedicated to studying English, but he had one major problem. He would study for long hours without taking any breaks. He thought that if he kept working non-stop, he would learn faster. However, after a few hours of intense study, he started feeling mentally tired, and his concentration began to drop. Paul noticed that he wasn't remembering the words as well by the end of his study sessions. He realized he needed to change his approach if he wanted to improve. Paul started taking regular breaks. Every 30 minutes, he took a 5-minute break to stretch, walk around, or drink some water. He found that these small breaks helped keep his brain fresh and energized. After a few weeks of following this new routine, Paul noticed a big improvement in his memory. He was able to remember new English words much better and felt more focused when he returned to studying after his breaks. Paul learned that it's not just about studying for hours on end. Giving your brain time to rest during study sessions actually helps improve memory. A little rest can go a long way in making your learning more effective. Lesson 5. Use your imagination. Your imagination is one of the most powerful tools you have when learning a new language, including English. You may not realize it, but your brain is constantly working to create connections between the things you learn and the real world. When you use your imagination, you're helping your brain form these connections more strongly, which makes it easier to remember and use new words and phrases in everyday situations. Think about it. When you learn a new English word or sentence, try imagining a real-life scenario where you could use it. Visualize yourself in that situation, speaking English with confidence. This method not only helps you remember words more effectively but also helps you feel prepared when you actually need to use them. By using your imagination, you are making the language feel more relevant and practical. Instead of just memorizing words in isolation, you are embedding them in real-life contexts where they will be naturally useful. Let's take a closer look at how this method worked for others. Example story 1. Sarah had recently learned how to order food at a restaurant in English. The phrase she had learned was, "I would like a pizza, please." But when she first saw the phrase, it seemed like just another sentence to memorize. Sarah wasn't sure if she'd actually be able to use it in a real-life situation. One evening while she was studying, Sarah decided to take her learning a step further. She closed her eyes and imagined herself sitting at a restaurant in an English-speaking country. She imagined walking up to the counter, seeing the menu, and deciding to order a pizza. In her mind, she saw herself confidently saying, "I would like a pizza, please." She visualized the entire process, the waiter nodding, handing her the pizza, and her enjoying the meal. The next week, Sarah went out to a restaurant with her friends. When it was her turn to order, she realized something amazing. She could say the phrase, "I would like a pizza, please," without hesitation. It felt natural, just like in her imagination. Her mind had already connected the new phrase with a real-life scenario, which made it easy for her to recall and use it when she needed it. Imagination had prepared her for the real situation. Example story 2. James was practicing English greetings, and one of the phrases he needed to remember was, "Nice to meet you." At first, he found it difficult to remember. He could say the words, but they didn't feel real to him yet. He realized he needed to connect the phrase to a real situation to make it stick. James imagined himself meeting someone new at a party. He pictured walking into a room, shaking hands with a stranger, and saying confidently, "Nice to meet you." In his mind, he saw the smile on the other person's face and felt the friendly atmosphere around him. The more James imagined this scenario, the more natural the phrase felt. A few days later, James was at a social gathering and met a new person. As soon as they shook hands, James automatically said, "Nice to meet you," without even thinking. It felt completely natural because his imagination had already prepared him for that moment. By visualizing real-life situations, James had made the greeting a natural part of his language use. Example story 3. Emily dreamed of visiting an English-speaking country one day. She loved the idea of traveling, but she was nervous about speaking English in a foreign country. She knew she had to improve her confidence, so she decided to practice imagining herself in different situations where she would need to use English. One day, Emily imagined herself asking for directions in an English-speaking country. She pictured herself walking down the street, realizing she was lost, and asking a passerby, "Excuse me, can you tell me how to get to the train station?" She imagined hearing the directions and nodding, then walking in the right direction with confidence. The more she imagined this scene, the more confident she felt. Emily practiced this scenario every day, imagining herself asking for directions in different locations. When she finally traveled to an English-speaking country, she found herself naturally using the phrase she had practiced. When she got lost on her first day there, she immediately approached someone and asked, "Excuse me, can you tell me how to get to the train station?" It felt so natural because her imagination had made her feel ready for the real-life situation. Lesson 6. Use association to remember new words. When learning new vocabulary, one of the most effective techniques is association. This means connecting a new English word with something that is familiar to you. By linking new words with images, sounds, or words in your native language, you make it easier for your brain to remember and recall the word. Association works because it builds upon what you already know. When you connect a new word to something familiar, your brain forms a mental hook, which makes it easier to recall the word when you need it. For example, if you're learning the word book in English, you might associate it with the image of a book you've read before, or you might link it to the word for book in your native language. This method not only strengthens memory but also helps improve your ability to use English words in different contexts. Let's look at how association worked for some learners. Example story 1. Sarah was having trouble remembering the word cloud. She had heard it many times but couldn't seem to recall it when she needed to use it. One day, while studying, Sarah decided to use association to help her remember. She pictured a large, fluffy white cloud in the sky. As she imagined the soft, cotton-like texture of the cloud, she also connected the word cloud with a similar word in her native language. The more Sarah connected the word cloud to something she already knew, the easier it was for her to remember. The next time Sarah saw a cloud in the sky, she immediately recalled the word in English without hesitation. The connection between the word and the image she had created in her mind made it easy for her to recall the word quickly. Example story 2. Tom was trying to learn the word apple in English, but he kept forgetting it. He loved eating apples, so one day he decided to make a stronger connection to the word. Tom imagined himself eating a juicy red apple, picturing the sweet taste and the crunchy texture. He also thought about how the word apple sounded similar to a word in his native language. Every time he thought of an apple, he could hear the word in his mind. Soon, whenever Tom saw an apple or heard the word, it immediately reminded him of the English word apple. By associating the word with a personal experience, eating apples, and with a similar word in his own language, Tom was able to remember it more easily. Example story 3. James wanted to remember the word dog in English. He was familiar with the word in his native language, but he needed to strengthen the connection. James imagined a playful dog running around in a park. He thought about the dog's wagging tail, floppy ears, and how it jumped up to greet him. He also connected the word dog with a similar word from his language, which made it feel even more familiar. The next time James saw a dog, he immediately remembered the English word and could use it in conversation. The association between the image of the dog and the English word helped cement it in his memory. Lesson 7. Create a routine and be consistent. Consistency is key when learning any new skill, including a new language. To improve your memory and fluency in English, it's essential to practice every day. Establishing a routine and sticking to it will help reinforce what you've learned and improve your retention of new words and phrases. When you create a study routine, you are making it a habit. Just like brushing your teeth every morning, you need to make English practice a regular part of your day. Even if it's just 15 to 30 minutes a day, consistent practice will help your brain retain information better and help you feel more confident when speaking English. Let's see how having a consistent routine helped these learners improve their English memory. Example story 1. Sophia loved learning English, but she didn't have a routine. She would study for hours one day and then forget to practice for the next few days. She found that when she wasn't consistent, it was harder to remember the new words she had learned. One day, Sophia decided to make English practice a regular part of her day. She set aside 15 minutes every morning to study new vocabulary and phrases. At first, it was a small commitment, but as days passed, Sophia noticed something amazing. She was able to recall the words she had learned much more easily. The consistency of practicing every day helped her memory grow stronger. After just a few weeks, Sophia's fluency and confidence in English had greatly improved. Example story 2. Paul was trying to learn how to introduce himself in English. At first, he practiced a few phrases one day, but then he would forget them the next. He decided to create a routine where he practiced his self-introduction every morning before breakfast. He repeated phrases like, "Hello, my name is Paul. I am from Canada, and nice to meet you." Paul's routine wasn't long, but it was consistent. After practicing every morning for 2 weeks, he noticed that the phrases became second nature to him. When he met someone new, he could easily introduce himself in English without thinking. The consistency in his daily practice made the words and phrases stick in his mind. Example story 3. Jack wanted to improve his English listening skills, but he found it hard to remember what he heard. He realized that if he only listened to English once in a while, it was harder to retain what he learned. So, Jack decided to listen to an English podcast every day during his commute. He committed to listening to 10 minutes of English audio while traveling to work. Within a month, Jack noticed a huge difference. He was able to understand more of what he was hearing, and he remembered more words and phrases. His routine of listening to English every day helped him absorb the language more naturally. The consistency helped improve both his listening skills and his memory. Conclusion: Congratulations on completing this journey to improve both your brain's memory power and your English fluency. Throughout this video, we've explored several techniques that can help you strengthen your memory, recall words and phrases more easily, and speak English with confidence. These methods are not just about memorization. They're about making the language meaningful and practical in your daily life. Here's a quick recap of the lessons you've learned. Start with visualization. Visualizing new English words by creating vivid mental images helps your brain make stronger connections, making it easier to recall them when you need them. Practice repetition. Repeating words, phrases, and stories regularly reinforces neural pathways in your brain, helping you remember and use the language naturally and fluently. Connect new information with what you know. By associating new English words with familiar words or concepts from your own language, you make learning faster and more efficient. Stay active and rested. Regular exercise and adequate rest are vital for a healthy brain. They help improve focus, memory, and overall cognitive function, making it easier to retain what you've learned. Use your imagination. Visualizing yourself using new English words in real-life scenarios helps make those words feel more relevant and prepares you to use them in real situations. Use association to remember new words. Connecting new words with things you already know, whether they're images, sounds, or words in your native language, makes them easier to remember. Create a routine and be consistent. Establishing a regular practice routine for learning English ensures that your brain retains new information over time and boosts your confidence when using English. These strategies are not just tips. They're powerful tools that, when applied consistently, can transform the way you learn and use English. Whether you are memorizing vocabulary, improving pronunciation, or gaining fluency in conversations, these techniques will help you develop a deeper understanding of the language and improve your overall memory. Remember, improvement doesn't happen overnight. Be patient with yourself and stay consistent. The more you practice these techniques daily, the more natural it will feel to use English. Your memory will get sharper, your confidence will grow, and soon you'll find yourself speaking English more fluently and effortlessly. Finally, don't forget the importance of enjoying the learning process. English, like any other skill, is something you get better at over time. By using these strategies, you're not only improving your memory but also having fun while doing it. I hope you found these lessons helpful. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others who are on the same journey. And, of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more helpful tips and engaging English lessons. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy learning!